Today we are going to learn frequency separation. In other words, how we make the skin very smooth and appealing to our clients. Now the first step is you open the photo in Photoshop. I'm using Photoshop CC, and make a copy of it twice. But you can press Ctrl J on your keyboard. 1, 2. Now we are going to name these layers to T1 and T2. You can choose any name that you prefer. It's not a must that you must use this. Now in our first step, we are going to select layer T1. We go to filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. We are going to set this figure to 4. I normally use a figure between 4 and 3 initially for the first step. Though other professionals and other people or other photographers can use any figure they prefer to their liking and for their clients, but I will use 4 for this tutorial. You click OK. After that, we shall select layer T2. We go to image and then apply image. Now in this part, we shall change the layer to T1. We select layer T1. Then we change the blending mode to subtract. This will change the whole picture or the whole photograph to gray. However, we can still view some of the details in the photo. Now for the other parts, we leave the opacity to 100, the scale to 2, and the offset to 128. Then we click OK. Now with our layer T2 still selected, we shall go to this blending mode. We change it from normal to linear light, and it will bring back the original photo to remove the gray bit of it. Now you notice that the thumbnail for layer T2 will remain with a gray scale or a gray color. Never mind, just leave that at that. Now for our frequency separation, we shall go back and select layer T1. Now after selecting layer T2, we are going to use a selection tool. I use the lasso tool. You right click and select the lasso tool. Now make sure that the feather is set to an area around or a figure around 18 or 20, and this bit should be to the new selection. Now we are going to select part of the skin of the face. We shall begin with the forehead. Begin with the forehead. You don't have to be really perfect with it. Okay, this is my selection. That's done. Now we shall go back to still filter, blur, and then Gaussian blur. Now what we shall do here, now we shall change this to 8. I think already you can notice the difference. Let me change that back slightly to 0. No, that is at 0 now. This is 8. You can set this to any figure that looks appealing to you or to your clients. But for this case, I normally use 8. I normally want to keep the whole picture. I want to give it that natural look. It should be smooth, and when someone looks at the picture, they feel the skin is natural. So after doing that, I click OK. Now we are going to and press Ctrl D to deselect. Now we are going to select other areas of the skin. Okay, now we can select these other areas of the skin quickly. Then we still go back and click. Now for this part, we do no longer need to set the pixel radius. We just simply click Gaussian blur and then Ctrl D. Then we select another area. And then select filter, then Gaussian blur. Now go back to this area. You can see still. That is the first area, filter, Gaussian blur. Now we still go down to this other part, filter, Gaussian blur, Control D, then this part. Oh, sorry. Filter, took some part of the mustache there, that's fine. Then just this part, fine a bit, and then filter, Gaussian blur. You can also select this area around the neck and apply it. We apply that effect as well. And that is done. So now we are going to click fit screen. I think now we see the difference. You see how the skin now looks smooth, and this looks like a professional shot for your client. So if you want to see the before, you can simply click on this eye, then that one. That was our before. You can see the skin, and then that is our after. So you can add a little touch to it. You can add move some bit of these pimples. Make sure that the whole brush is really small. Yeah, you can use that. You can add a little touch to that. However, that is it for the frequency separation tutorial. Thank you very much for your time. See you in the next one.